Oh my God, new week, new prescription for Zofran. I'm telling you, I'm all out after last week. I've never
What?
felt more queasy. The details are gut-wrenching. The prosecution unleashed their bunker buster last week, Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex. They went for the knockout punch. Should they have started maybe a little lighter with Lil Rod or one of these other vile allegations and then built up to her? So Diddy is he's facing 5 criminal counts against him. 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. So last week they unleashed the big damning witness, Cassie Ventura. Today kicks off week 2, and it was about corroborating her accounts, and for that the prosecution called on 2 witnesses. Dawn Richard, who testified last week that she witnessed Sean Diddy Combs attack his ex-girlfriend, Cassie, with a skillet filled with eggs. The defense tried to undermine her credibility today by highlighting inconsistencies with her statements and her attempts to continue working with Diddy despite the alleged violence that she witnessed. From New York, in a car, she is on the move. CNN's Liz Wagmeister. Liz, it is Elizabeth who brought us the video of Cassie in the Intercontinental Hotel with, being beaten by Diddy and dragged in the hallway. So this really, it's the biggest piece of videotape in the whole thing. She's been covering it. She was in court today. Look, they tried to poke some holes in it. What do you think, Liz? Was Dawn Richard, was she credible today? How did that go for her?
Billy, and by the way, I apologize. As you said, I am in a car. This is how life goes, going from the courthouse back to the studio. So I apologize that it's shaky. Dawn Richard, there were some holes in her story. So as you said, her big allegation was this story revolving around this hot skillet that she says that she witnessed Diddy attempting to throw at Cassie Ventura. Well, during cross-examination, the defense comes up and they said, so you said that he attempted to throw the skillet, but in another meeting with prosecutors, you said that he actually hit her with it. Do you remember that? I don't recall. Next question from the defense. You said in one of your meetings with prosecutors that you heard the skillet being thrown, but that you didn't actually see it. And now you're saying that you saw it. Which one is it? I don't recall. So this is pretty typical, Billy. I know you have covered a lot of these cases. When these details, and I don't want to call them small details because every detail matters, but when these details, there can be discrepancies. A lot of these witnesses will say, my core allegation is what I stand behind, which is the fact of the matter is this scene was that there was a hot skillet and Diddy came down the stairs and he was angry and he was attempting to violently hurt Cassie. And then she fell to the floor in the fetal position. And then afterwards, he threatened me and said, don't tell anyone else or else you'll go missing. That's the word that she used on the stand. So again, they definitely chipped away at her credibility. And I have to tell you, I was looking at the jury and the jurors definitely looked like, not all of her story is crystal clear. But again, I do want to make the point that her core allegation that, yes, she alleges that she saw Cassie being physically beat. And yes, she says that Diddy threatened her not to say anything. Those she stands behind.
But overall, I mean, the defense says, wait, you met with government investigators, prosecutors 8 times over this mess and changed your story at least 4 times. That's terribly damaging. It sounds to me like as much success as the prosecution had with Cassie Ventura, nowhere near the amount of what I would say amounts to any success with Dawn Richard. Is that what you witnessed?
I wouldn't say that they didn't have any success with her, but it's absolutely damning. I do not know if they needed this witness, Billy, to tell you the truth. And the reason why I say that is because the next witness, which was one of Cassie's former best friends, Carrie Morgan, she was an impeccable witness. Her story was crystal clear. She also said that she saw Cassie abused on numerous numerous occasion. And the point, yes, that's her right there. The point of bringing these people on the stand, like Carrie Morgan, like Don Richard, these former friends of Cassie Ventura, is so that they can corroborate her account that she was allegedly physically abused. We shouldn't say allegedly, because the video that our team broke at CNN shows that she was, but allegedly abused on more than one occasion, which is what Cassie testified to. So the point of bringing them on there is to corroborate that account. And Dawn did that, but not without, again, some cracks in her story. And anytime that, sorry, Billy, go ahead.
So Carrie Morgan, what's interesting about it, their relationship ended like 8 years ago, which is actually beneficial. I mean, she's like, we're not really active friends right now. I don't really want to be here. The fact that she was called, you could see the reluctance in her, and it actually lends more credibility. It's not a friend doing a solid for a friend. I mean, she's like, I don't even hang with Cassie anymore. I don't even want to be here. And she's saying,
and that's what she said. She was like, I was subpoenaed. I do not want to be here. I left this chapter of my life behind. So you're 100% right, Billy. That gives her more credibility because she really has no reason to be there.
And she said that Diddy choked her and beat her up with a coat hanger, and that Diddy paid her off $30,000 not to sue. She's probably mad because she got $30,000, and Cassie's just got $30 million, or 20 from him and 10 from the Intercontinental Hotel.
And this is interesting, Billy. What she said is that Cassie met up with her, and Cassie is the one who said, here's an NDA. Like, she literally says that Cassie presented her with an NDA and said, sign this and you're getting $30,000. Don't talk about this instance where, where you were allegedly beat over the head with a coat hanger and choked. Now, Carrie Morgan said on the stand, this was not Cassie's money. She said, this was Diddy's money. Cassie was essentially the intermediary, and that is why they're not friends. Effectively, what Carrie Morgan was saying was that her ex-best friend, Cassie, her best friend of 17 years, was so controlled by this man that she chose not to be supportive of her when she says that she was physically beaten, and that she gave her an NDA from Diddy to silence her.
She basically, Carrie Morgan, ended up doing what this whole next phase of the trial we're going to get into is what Diddy had all the people around him doing, cleaning up the mess. And Cassie was basically a foot soldier in cleaning up the mess with Carrie Morgan. And now we're gonna meet all the other foot soldiers that did what Diddy wanted. It's interesting that Cassie is the ultimate witness. She's the ultimate victim, but she's also, in this case, one of his foot soldiers.
And look, that is what the defense is going to be trying to say, right? And by the way, sorry, this car is so rocky, Billy. Again, I'm on the move.
It's New York.
Yes, the defense is going to be saying she was part of this. Like, she was part of this enterprise, so-called enterprise. But remember what Cassie said at the end of her 4-day testimony, when the prosecutor said, "Why are you here? Why are you here in the criminal trial? You've already gotten paid gazillions of dollars from Diddy. Why are you here?" She said, right is right, wrong is wrong. I'm here to do the right thing. And part of her statement, what she said at the end, was that she has wronged so many people. And it's because of how she alleges she was controlled by Diddy and she was a victim of him. And you know that phrase, Billy, hurt people, hurt people. That's essentially what Cassie is saying, is that she was, under Diddy's control, and that caused her to do bad things. But now that she has been able to have that trauma therapy and realize that she still did bad things, whether or not it was under his control or not. So that is an interesting point, though, here. And I do want to say, though, Carrie Morgan wasn't, yes, it ended their friendship, but she wasn't trying to say, I blame Cassie. She just said very matter-of-factly, we are not friends. But the way that she testified was that she understood that Cassie was the middleman for Diddy, to silence her for Diddy.
And then that famous caught on video hotel beating, which you and CNN got a hold of and are the ones introduced to the world, that after that, did Carrie Morgan allege that that Diddy tried to bust down Cassie's front door with a hammer? Like, right after that video, he just, like, the violence continued as soon as they left the hotel?
Yeah, that's what she said. So she said that Diddy showed up to Cassie's apartment in New York, which is, sorry, rather in LA. Carrie Morgan was visiting Cassie from New York, so she was staying with her. And she said that Diddy showed up, was hitting on the door with a hammer, and then left. He was screaming, he left. And then the LAPD showed up to Cassie's apartment because the noise was so loud. They questioned Cassie, they questioned Carrie Morgan. Cassie allegedly had a black eye. That's according to Cassie's testimony and to Carrie Morgan's testimony. But Cassie, according to Carrie, refused to talk to them. And that would line up with Cassie's testimony, Billy. You remember from last week, Cassie was the one who revealed that police did come to her apartment, but she said that at the time she would not give them Diddy's name. She did not want to out him at that point.
Yeah. But there's a history of jealousy between Cassie and Diddy. I mean, Diddy was jealous of Cassie's, relationship or chatting whenever she would talk to Michael B. Jordan. He didn't like that. Mm-hmm. He didn't like Kid Cudi. He was a very jealous, controlling person. But wasn't there some talk that Cassie was also jealous of Diddy?
There was, and hold on, give me 20 seconds. I'm hopping off the car, Billy. Thank you so much. This is literally like you are getting me live from court, Billy.
Give that guy 5 stars. I thought he did a great job.
5 stars for him. This is just what we do. So let me get into a kind of quiet-ish place for you. But yes, jealousy was a part of their relationship, and that is according to the defense. Really, the defense has said throughout this entire time that this is not a sex trafficking or racketeering, that's not what it is. They are saying that this is just a relationship where both people were jealous of one another. They say that Cassie was jealous that she was not the number one woman in his life. They say that was Kim Porter, who of course tragically passed away a few years ago. So they are saying this is all about jealousy, and that she was not trafficked. She was just jealous, and that's why she's now coming after him years later for money, is what the defense says.
Did that land with the jury at all? It's all they have to do is get one person on the jury.
Get one.
They just need one person on the jury to think this doesn't smell so good, and Diddy's gone. I mean, he beats it.
That's right. Or there could be a mistrial, right?
Right.
Now, look,
Either way.
I have to tell you, Billy, it's really hard to tell. This jury is pretty stoic. There's been a few times where we can see some things, but they're pretty stoic. So I honestly cannot tell you if that landed with the jury. But what I will tell you is the defense says this is just a jealous girlfriend, like a scorned ex, basically, who was never number one. But remember, as you said at the top of this conversation, Cassie has come out with horrific allegations. And you cannot excuse that. Even the defense said during their opening statement, you cannot excuse what he did. In their opening statement, it was brilliant, actually, Billy. They came out and they said, this is our client, and he is a domestic abuser, and he's violent, and he's jealous, and he's out of control. But that's not what this case is about. This case is not about domestic violence. It's about sex trafficking. Now, here's where you get the gray area here, is in order to prove sex trafficking, which he faces 2 sex trafficking charges, Billy, they have to be able to prove coercion, fraud, and threats. And what they are doing by showing this pattern of extreme alleged domestic violence is that if you are being abused and violently beaten all the time because he wants you to participate in these freak-offs, then isn't that coercion? You are being coerced into these freak-offs because you are concerned that if you say no, that you will be beaten. So even though, yes, he's not facing a domestic violence charge, this is not a sexual battery case, it's all interlinked. And that's what they need to get the jury to believe and to understand. And Billy, these things can be very hard for jurors to understand because this isn't a random person who was attacked in an alleyway. This is a ex-girlfriend of more than a decade.
Wow. Liz Wagmeister from CNN. She's all over the trial. Stay in touch, will you?
Billy, next time with a better connection, not in a car, I promise you.
Tell your hairstylist he's done an amazing job. I'm saying he, it could be a she, but I don't know. Mine's a he.
It's a she, and I'll pass it along.
Yeah. Love it. Thanks so much, Wags.